Chancellor, in the context of his outstanding achievements in the arts, I would call on you to confer upon Gerald Scarfe the degree of Doctor of Arts, honoris causa.
Let's get this right. By the authority vested in me by the university, I am pleased to confer upon you the award of Doctor of Arts, honoris causa, and welcome you amongst us. Well done.
Thank you.
This will make a great cartoon, won't it? Right, now, the speechy bit. It is with great pleasure that I invite our honoured guest, Mr. Gerald Scarfe, to address us.
Well, Lord Chancellor, honoured guests, graduates, good morning. And I must also thank Professor Crago for that. He's actually said everything I was going to say, so I might just as well say goodbye. And congratulations to all you brilliant graduates. Well done, fantastic. This is going to be the day that you remember in your lives. You'll remember actually standing here all your lives. It is a great day, and I wish you all the best of luck. I didn't really have that kind of luck. I was a chronic asthmatic as a child, and my father was in the RAF. It was wartime. We moved around. My schooling was terrible. It hardly existed. So I was very, very badly educated all the way through. And of course, there was no chance really of me going to university, which I would have loved to have done. And as Professor Crago said, I did go to St. Martin's School of Art later on. This is much later on, when I was about 18 or so. And that was only evening classes, so it wasn't really like a proper stint at school. My parents were most worried about me because they thought I would be reliant on them all their lives, all my life. And so I was determined to do something about it. And I'd always drawn, as a child, I'd always drawn in my sick bed, and I would make little models and toy theatres and all sorts of things, drawing all the time. It was my way of explaining the world to myself, I think, and I think it still is now. Drawing is my way of exorcising my fears about everything. And so my father worked in a bank, and he wanted me to go into banking. But of course, I had no academic backup for that. And naturally, I failed all the auditions, or whatever you call them. And but to work, I must go. And at the age of 16, I went into a commercial art studio, where my job really was, first thing in the morning, to go and get coal from filthy shit, put it into a bucket, take it upstairs, and light the fires. Then I had to change all the water pots for all the other artists. I was the lowest of the low. And it was in the Elephant Castle next to the Marshalsea prison, what was left of it. And that's sort of very much a Dickensian atmosphere. And I thought, if I ever make it, I've had the perfect beginning. I've come from this sort of dreadful beginning. And I continued to draw there. I suppose when I was in the commercial art studio, I was telling lies. I was doing drawings for catalogues of tiny bits of scrappy material and trying to make them look like sleep-enticing blankets, something that you really want to buy. So I was flogging stuff. I was telling lies and flogging stuff that I shouldn't have done. I wanted to get away from that. I felt there was something more than that. And I put cartoons into Punch, and then Private Eye arrived, and they were very good to me and let me draw what I wanted to. I suddenly realized then that I could draw anything. It didn't have to be cartoons of funny little men on desert islands or mother-in-laws behind the door with rolling pins and all the cliche ones. I could actually say something about life. I could say something about the world around me, and then about politics. And one of the people at Private Eye encouraged me to start drawing politicians, which I did. And I have done that for the last 50 years. One of my talk I always call 50 years of being rude, because I've been rude to these swines for years and years and years. And Mr. Trump, for instance, is my muse, that awful, dreadful man, produces drawing after drawing from me. And of course you've got Boris, he's a walking cartoon in himself. And there are so many of them. And Jeremy Corbyn, and all of them anyway. So all of the things I was doing in that little sick bed of mine, toy theatres and everything, I've done since writ large. As Professor Craigo said, Professor Craigo said, I have done operas and musicals and stage work. I could not have imagined when I was that sick child in that bed that I would be standing here today. I've come the easy route. You've done the hard work. I've come the quick route, and I don't really deserve it. But you are the ones who really deserve this. So I would just really like to end by saying I wish you all the best of luck. I think you've done amazingly, and you are now launching off into this cruel Trump world, and best of luck.